Hello friends, it's Lisa, and today I'm going to be discussing all of my anticipated releases of 2022. I have quite a few to talk about. Because I have a decent amount that I want to talk about, I'm going to keep everything pretty brief so we're not sitting here for like hours on end while I read you the Goodreads description of all of these books. No one really wants that. So I will have my Goodreads as well as my Storygraph shelves where I organize my 2022 anticipated releases linked below. I also have books that I'm not mentioning in this video, just ones that are kind of on my radar. So if you want to find more books that I'm not mentioning, that's the place to check. But I think that is it. Let's just get into the anticipated releases. I have my laptop here, so if I'm looking over here, that's why. I do have a few that I want to mention first just because they don't have any release dates yet. So the first that doesn't have a release date yet is The Blood on the Blade by Anna Laldin. This is the sequel to The Descent of the Drowned, which was an arc that I got last year. It was the first and only physical arc that I've ever received, so that was really exciting and I did really enjoy it. So I'm really excited about the sequel. I don't know when we're getting it. There's no cover. There's not a whole lot of information about it yet. It says it's coming out this year. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm excited about it regardless. Next with no date is Serwa. I have no idea how to say this character's names. Guide to Vampire Hunting. This is by Roseanne Brown, who wrote A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, and this is actually a middle grade, which is very different for her, so I'm very excited about it. It's about this girl who slays vampires, but then eventually has to go to like a normal middle school, and I think she kind of has to protect her classmates from vampires or something. I don't know, it sounds very cute. We love a vampire moment, and also it's Roseanne Brown, so I'm definitely intrigued. The next book I'm super excited about, it's called A Tempest of Tea. This is by Hafsa Faizal, and we have like a general idea of when this is coming out. I think it's supposed to come out in fall of 2022, but there's no official date yet. I'm super excited about this because I loved We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. I loved that duology, and this book sounds so good. This is another one that involves vampires. We're following this girl who teams up with these other outcasts to kind of perform this heist to save her tea room, and the tea room is like a front for an illegal blood house for vampires to get blood. It sounds so good, and like knowing how Hafsa Faizal did the found family trope and everything in We Hunt the Flame, I have a feeling that's going to be the same type of vibe in this book, plus vampires. It just sounds so great, so very excited about this one. And the final book that doesn't have a date yet is Heartstopper Volume 5. This might not even be coming out this year. It says on Goodreads that it's slotted to come out in 2022, but I did see Alice Oseman reply to someone saying that they didn't think it was going to be coming out this year, so who really knows? But regardless of when this book comes out, I will be ready. I will be ready to cry. I love the Heartstopper graphic novels, so regardless of when it comes out, I will be anticipating it. So those are the ones that may or may not be coming out this year at some point, but there's really no official date yet, but they're definitely ones that I'm keeping my eye on. So now we can get into the ones that do have official dates. So the first book that I wanted to mention is Castles in Their Bones by Laura Sebastian, and this is coming out February 1st. This is about these three princesses who go off to marry three different princes because their mom, who is the queen, wanted them to be able to rule over like so many different places. But when they get there, obviously things are not quite as they seem, and they start to kind of question, I think, the motives of their mom and why she wanted them to do this. It just sounds really, really good. First and foremost though, the cover is absolutely beautiful. That is what drew me into this book in the first place. So the cover absolutely drew me in, but the premise does sound really interesting, and I believe this is the same author of Ash Princess, and I think they've written a few other things. I've never read from this author, but this premise and this cover definitely intrigue me, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye out on this. Next, I want to talk about Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. This is coming out February 8th. And I've seen this book everywhere on social media. It's all over Twitter. I'm so excited for this release. I believe that this author was actually a YouTuber, a booktuber pre this book's existence, so that is very cool. I'm very excited to check it out. I think it's just kind of like a cute, fun, contemporary moment where our main character, I think, is beginning to kind of question her sexuality. I think it's set in high school. I don't know, it seems like a fun little contemporary, and I'm ready to check it out and also support this author. Next, we have A Spark Within the Forge by Sabaa Tahir, and this is also coming out on February 8th. This is another prequel to An Ember in the Ashes, but it's a graphic novel. The first one was following Elias and Helene, and now this one we're following Laya and her brother, and I'm just ready for any Ember in the Ashes content that Sabatier will give me, so I'm excited for it simply because it has to do with Ember in the Ashes, and that's it. Next we have Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, and this is coming out on February 22nd. I have read one of Ashley Herring Blake's books, and it was one of her young adult novels, but I absolutely loved it. I've heard nothing but good things about all of her books, so I'm really intrigued by a adult romance type of moment from her. So in this book, we're following Delilah Green, who was trying to get out of her town but ends up having to come back, and she ends up meeting Claire, who is a friend of Delilah Green's stepsister or something. I don't know. It's a romance. It's Ashley Herring Blake. That's kind of what sold me on it. I also feel like every time Ashley Herring Blake posts about this book on Twitter, it just makes me even more excited. And also, I just am in a romance moment right now. I just want to read all of the romance. I have kind of started to dip my toes into the genre, so I just kind of now want to read every romance I see. So I have a feeling this is going to be a good one because I know I like Ashley Herring Blake's writing and everything, so excited about this one as well. The next one is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. Still not sure how to say this last name, but this is coming out also on February 22nd. So I read the guest list from the same author and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's just because that was the first thriller that I had really ever read, so I had nothing to compare it to, but I really enjoyed it, so I'm definitely intrigued by her new release. This is about a girl who goes to stay with her brother, who has an apartment in Paris, as you would maybe predict. But when she gets to the apartment, her brother is missing, and also she starts to question how her brother is kind of affording this nice of an apartment. There's just a lot of questions surrounding that, so I think there's a few different neighbors who are kind of suspects in her brother's disappearance, and I think she's just trying to figure out what happened. It sounds really interesting, and we'll see how I end up feeling about it, because I did really like the guest list, but like I said, didn't have anything else to really compare it to, and I feel like with so many thrillers, I give them very middle of the road ratings, because I just feel like they're okay. By the time the reveals happen, I'm like, oh, that wasn't very exciting, so we'll see if I end up liking this one, but I'm definitely intrigued because I have read from this author before. Next, we have another book by Sabaa Tahir. We have All My Rage, and this is coming out on March 1st. At this point, Sabaa Tahir is just an auto-buy author for me because I loved Ember in the Ashes so much, so even though this is very different for her, it's a contemporary, I'm super excited about it. I have a feeling it's gonna hurt my feelings. I think it's a multi-generational story, and we're following these two friends who end up having this fight, and one of them is trying to run their family's motel, but their parents are kind of struggling with different things, and then the other friend is trying to earn enough money to get out of their town, and I don't know if they have to come together to figure some things out. It just sounds like it's gonna be more hard-hitting and emotional, which, if you know Sabaa Tahir, she likes to hurt your feelings, so I am ready. Not really ready to sob, but you know, I'm as ready as I can be. I'm very excited about it. I have a feeling it's gonna be really good. Next, we have Four Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Q. Sutanto, and this is coming out on March 29th. So this is the sequel to Dial A for Aunties, which I have talked about so many times on my channel since I read it last year. I thought it was so much fun. It was absolute chaos and I lived for it. So like I said, this is the sequel to Dial A for Aunties, but we're following Mehdi, who was the main character in that first book, and we're following her preparing for her wedding. And her aunties have this wedding business, but she doesn't want her family working on her wedding day, so they hire another family that has a similar business to work her wedding because they felt like, you know, they could trust them because it was a similar thing to their own business. But then it says in the description that the people that are running the wedding for them are the family, actual mafia, and they're using Mehdi's wedding as a chance to conduct shady business. It sounds also chaotic, just like the first one, and I'm so excited about it. I'm a teensy bit nervous about it just because the first one worked so well because I didn't know what to expect, and like I said, it was absolute chaos. There was so much happening, but I just don't know if she'll be able to replicate it again in a sequel, but I have a feeling she will. I have a feeling this one is just going to be just as fun. I'm excited about it, and I'm here for the chaos. Next, we have The Marvelers by Dhonielle Clayton, and this is coming out on May 3rd. So this is another middle grade, and I think it's about this girl that goes to this magical school, and she is the first conjurer to go to the school. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if that means a type of magic or a type of person, a family. I'm not really sure, but she's the first conjurer to go to the school. I imagine it's a type of magic. But while our main character is at this school, there is this criminal that escapes from the prison, and I think there's like rumors that it was other conjurers that like helped this person escape. So I think the main character and her friends kind of team up to clear her and her family's name, as well as try to figure out what happened to a teacher at this school that has gone missing. It just sounds really fun. It sounds really magical. I love the idea of a magic school, so I'm really excited for this, and I've read from Danielle Clayton before and I do really like her writing, so I think this is going to be a really fun book. Next book we have Once Upon a K-Prom by Kat Cho, and this is coming out on May 17th. I have also read books from Kat Cho before. I've only read Wicked Fox. I've had the sequel for like a year and a half now at this point, and I haven't read it yet, but I did really enjoy Wicked Fox, so I'm excited to read another book from her, especially because this one has to do with K-pop, which is really cool. So it's about this girl whose like childhood best friend goes on to be this like really popular K-pop star, and when they were younger they made this promise to go to prom together, and obviously he's in a very different situation, but he does come back when it's time for her to go to prom and asks her to go to prom with him. And I think it's gonna be like friends to lovers, and it has to do with K-pop, and it just sounds like something that's gonna be so much fun, and also something that like I would have wanted to happen to me at 17 years old when I was going to prom. I would have loved for some famous person to come to my door and be like, yo, take me to prom. If Kim Tae-young walked up to my door right now and asked me to go anywhere with him, I would say yes. So this sounds like something that I, one, want to happen to me, but two, it just sounds really fun. So I'm excited for this, and I'm excited to read another book about K-pop and everything. It just sounds like it's mixing a lot of things that I will enjoy. The next book I wanted to talk about is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and this is coming out on July 5th. So this is following a girl who is a ghostwriter, and she's really struggling to meet her deadline because she has just been broken up with her boyfriend, so she's like doesn't really believe in love anymore, but her new editor isn't giving her any extensions. But then she also finds out that her father has recently passed. So she returns home to attend the funeral, but while she's in the funeral home, the ghost of her editor shows up. It sounds so good. It literally says romance is most certainly dead, but so is her new editor. It just sounds like it's gonna be so fun, but also probably sad. But I'm excited to read this. I've never read a romance from Ashley Poston. I don't think she's written an adult romance before. I think this is her first one. So I'm excited to see what she does with this, and I just love the concept of this ghostwriter and then there actually being a ghost editor, like a literal ghost. I don't know, the concept just sounds really great, so I'm very excited for this one. Okay, we're almost done. We have 3 more books to talk about, and honestly these next 3 are probably my most anticipated releases of the entire year, so very excited to talk about all of these ones. The first one is The American Roommate Experiment by Eleanor Amos, and I'm a little confused about when this is coming out. It says on Goodreads August 18th, but when Eleanor Amos like did the cover reveal for this book, it said September 6th, so I have a feeling September 6th is probably more accurate, but it'll be sometime at the end of summer. But this is sort of the companion novel to The Spanish Love Deception. We're going to be following different characters in a different romance, but it's set in the same like contemporary world. And we're going to be following Rosie, who is Catalina's best friend. Catalina is the main character in The Spanish Love Deception, so we're going to be following her friend Rosie and her romance with, I think, Catalina's cousin. I could be wrong. I don't feel like there's a ton of information on this book, so I'm super excited about it. I absolutely adored The Spanish Love Deception. As we all know, I haven't shut up about that book. So I'm just super excited to have another romance book from Eleanor Amos. I'm ready to just take anything this woman gives me. That's how I am with this. I'm gonna buy everything that she writes at this point. And also, this cover is so beautiful. I love it so much. I love that it matches the vibe of The Spanish Love Deception. It's perfection, and I'm ready to read it right now. I don't want to wait until August or September. I don't want to do that, but I suppose I will. Next, we have Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare, and this is coming out November 1st. And I love when my bullet points about all of these books on what I wanted to talk about. One of them is just fear. I'm terrified for this book. But Chain of Thorns is the 3rd and final book in the Lost Hours trilogy, and I'm terrified to see what happens. I'm concerned for these characters. I'm concerned that characters are going to be able to die and it's not going to affect future things in future books. It's a little concerning to me. But as I have said many times before, I love the Shadowhunter books and the world. I just think they're so much fun. So even though I'm terrified for what's going to happen in this book, I am really excited about it. I'm sad we have to wait so long to get it. I think it was originally supposed to come out earlier on in the year and it got pushed back. Obviously, I understand that that happens, but it's just meaning that I'm going to be stressed for longer. But really, I waited the year and a half between Lord of Shadows and Queen of Air and Darkness. I don't think this is going to be quite as difficult as that, so I think I can do it. So yeah, very excited about this just because I'm always excited for anything to do with the Shadowhunter world. And before we get the cover reveal, I'm going to predict it's going to either be Grace or James on the cover. I feel like Grace fits the aesthetic of like having it all be the ladies with like the long hair on the cover. So I feel like I'm leaning more towards Grace, but James I feel like could also be on the cover because he's like one of the main characters. So those are my predictions, and if I'm wrong, I'll be surprised, but also like I will only accept being wrong if Matthew's on the cover instead because I just love Matthew. So if he has his moment on the cover, I will be so happy. But I don't think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be either Grace or James. We will have to come back to this when we get the cover reveal and see if I'm right. We will see. Let me know if you have any predictions on who will be on the cover down below. Anyways, yeah, that's exciting. I'm very excited for it, even though I'm terrified. And then the final book that I wanted to mention in this video is Cursed by Marissa Meyer, and this is coming out on November 8th, so I think we all need to take a moment to pray for me because we have a new Cassandra Clare book coming out and then a new Marissa Meyer book coming out within the span of a week. Do we think I'm going to be okay? I don't think so. But this is the sequel to Gilded, which came out at the end of 2021, and it's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. I feel like I've given the description of this book so many times. But our main character, Serilda, gets caught up in the Earl King, who is known for killing really anyone that he kind of comes across, so she tells him this lie that she can spin straw into gold. So every full moon, he kind of comes back and takes her to the castle, has her spin straw into gold for him, but obviously she lied about that, so she gets the help from a character named Gild to do so. That was like the most terrible description of that book I could have given, but it's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. It was a lot of fun. I'm very excited for the sequel, and I'm excited to see where everything goes. Also, the cover reveal when I'm filming this just happened yesterday, and I'm obsessed with this cover. I liked the Gilded cover. I didn't like the creepy eyes that were kind of in the background. That was not the vibe, but this is stunning. I'm obsessed. And if FairyLoot does another special edition for Curse like they did with Gilded, I can only imagine how beautiful it's gonna be. Marissa Meyer is gonna be taking all of my money this year, but what's new? I'm excited for it. I'm excited for her to take all of my money. As she should. But that was the final one. Those are all of my anticipated releases for 2022. There's obviously so many that I'm excited for that I didn't mention, so again, I will have my Goodreads and my Storygraph shelves linked below if you want to check out even more releases of 2022, but the ones that I mentioned are the ones that I'm the most excited about, the ones I'm anticipating the most, and I'm really excited to read all of these new books this year. Definitely let me know down below any books that you're anticipating this year because I'm always looking for new books to check out, new recommendations, and I would also love to know if any of these books are some of your most anticipated because then we can just have a moment to cry in the comments together. It'll be great. But that is going to be it for this video, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.